On a cloudy day in a chicken restaurant, two people sit and have chicken drumsticks. One of them is a Sagittarius saint named Hugo Otters, who tells the other person that he is going to die the next day. In response, the other person, a 13th awakened named Lee Jeon, does not take it seriously and asks why Hugo wants him to die so badly, calling him by the name Oteksu. In response, Hugo reminds Lee Jeon that his name is not Oteksu but Hugo Otters, which causes Jeon to laugh. After a while, Jeon assures Hugo that he will not die so easily and tells him not to worry too much. Confident in his ability, Jeon states that the number of calamities he has killed alone is way too much than all of the 12 saints combined. Hugo remains silent in response, although an expression of worry lingers on his face. We are then told about the Demon Tower, a dangerous place known as the spot where the worst calamity annihilated human lives. It all started on the last day of the 20th century, when calamities suddenly appeared, driving humans into a corner with overwhelming power. Just as humanity started to fall, the 12 divine beings appeared and promised to empower humans to overcome the calamities, and they selected 12 awakened individuals for that. However, unexpectedly, the 13th awakened appeared, who had not received any blessings from any of the divine beings. Surprisingly, this awakened individual was overwhelmingly strong and amazing compared to the rest of the 12 individuals, referred to as the 12 saints. This awakened person is Lee Jeon, the protagonist of the story, and the one who made it possible for the 12 saints to conquer the Demon Tower. During their quest in the Demon Tower, Hugo, the Sagittarius saint, approaches Jeon, commending him for his role in the conquest. In response, Jeon, calling Hugo by the name Oteksu, states that he does not need lip service but fried chicken for the next 5 years, prompting Hugo to ask if he will never get sick of that. Hugo also reminds Jeon that his name is Hugo, not Oteksu, causing Jeon to remark that he can never get used to that name. Meanwhile, the other saints discuss how eliminating Crimson Eye will lead them to receive incredible rewards, expecting at least 100 billion won considering the calamities level. While they are talking about that, Gaon intervenes, saying that they should at least settle for being able to stay in a 7-star hotel for the next 10 years. Putting on his face mask, he states that several countries are on the verge of bankruptcy due to the Crimson Eye. In response, one of the saints remarks that in order to make deals with them, Jeon needs to have a lot of money to fix his damaged face and injured body. Leaving the conversation, the saints walk away while Gaon stands behind, thinking that even though they are called saints, they are nothing more than thugs who only care about themselves. While he ponders that, they turn around once again, forbidding him from reaching any destroyed site immediately, saying that they need to create more victims to get a greater reward. Annoyed by their cruelty, Gaon decides to sever all his connections with them once they defeat the Crimson Eye. Meanwhile, the other saints, who go ahead of him, reach a place in the tower and look ahead, feeling shocked. In front of them sits the formidable boss of the Demon Tower, the Crimson Eye, with fierce intent in its eyes. The monster is really scary. Just one look from it makes everyone feel scared. Even Gaon is surprised. They're trying to figure out how to beat the monster, and then it roars so loud that the tower shakes a lot, which shocks them. The ground and walls start cracking, and there's a big blast that causes a lot of chaos. The monster keeps roaring, and the floor in the middle of the tower breaks. A bright light comes out from the break, and the saints start flying towards it. The light is so bright that it breaks the roof and reaches the sky. Before we continue, take a moment to answer the question of the day. What kind of power would be the best in the modern world? Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out. Now back to the recap. After a while, the light fades, and the saints are scared because there's a giant pit of lava in front of them. On the other side, the Crimson Eye is sitting on its throne, looking mean. The saints are scared and run away because they don't think they can beat the monster. While they're running, Jeon looks back at them and wonders why they're acting like that. He holds his sword tight and decides to fight the Crimson Eye himself. He leaps up to attack, but he gets stabbed and falls into a trap. He forgets about the outside world and fights monsters for a really long time. Jeon fights for 20 years, losing an arm but still standing strong. He finally reaches the monster in charge and kills it. He's tired and wants to leave the tower. But as he walks, he falls down, all his energy gone, and he's surrounded by darkness. Outside the tower, in a broken city, two kids run for their lives. They talk about how it was supposed to be safe, but now they're chased by scary monsters. The monsters catch up and one kid gets hit. They feel helpless, wishing Jeon was there to help. The tower's doors start opening slowly, surprising them. Suddenly, a super bright light shoots out from the tower, shining so intensely that it blinds them for a moment. Right after that, there's this really loud boom that feels like the ground is shaking. It's so powerful that they can't even figure out what's happening at first. When the dust settles from the explosion, they can see that the tower has collapsed, leaving behind a huge hole full of bubbling lava. They're trapped under some debris, and their heads are spinning with confusion about what just went down. Then, out of nowhere, one of the kids looks up and his eyes go wide. He grabs his friend's arm and points in the same direction. They both can't believe what they're seeing. There's a person walking out from where the tower used to stand. It's a guy named Jeon, and he looks seriously mad. His hands are clenched into tight fists, and he's yelling about how he's going to get back at the people who tricked him and set this trap. Jeon's got this fierce look in his eyes, like he's not messing around. He's saying that anyone who fooled him is going to pay. Meanwhile, the two civilians are stuck there in shock, watching this whole wild scene unfold right in front of them. And Gaon, he's not wasting any time. He's crushing these big scary monsters like they're nothing, using just his hands. These are creatures that even super strong people have a tough time dealing with, but Jeon is making it look easy. The kids are talking to each other, amazed by what they're seeing. They're whispering about how those monsters are really tough, yet Gaon is taking them down like they're bugs. But just as they're chatting, Jeon suddenly stops what he's doing and looks their way. He seems to sense them, like he knows they're there. It's like he's suspicious that they might be more monsters hiding in the rubble. Out of nowhere, Jeon leaps into the air, which totally confuses the kids. Then he lands right in front of them, tossing away the debris that was covering them. They're frozen in place, too scared to even move. They're wondering why Gaon would attack them, but then they see it in his eyes, the realization that they're human, not monsters. He relaxes, like he finally understands, and they let out a shaky breath of relief. While Gaon is checking out the area, the kids are trying to process what just happened. They're shocked that a person came out of that fallen tower. One of them thinks it's impossible. Maybe this guy just happened to be around when the tower collapsed. But just when they start to feel a bit safer, they see a massive shadow looming behind them. And then all of a sudden this gigantic monster shows up. It's like something out of a nightmare. The kids freak out and decide they need to run. But Jeon, he's not scared at all. He's standing there with this calm expression on his face, almost like he's been waiting for this. The kids rush away and Jeon stays put, facing that enormous monster with a confident smile on his face. With fierce anger in its eyes, the huge monster opens its mouth and shoots out a strong beam, making the kids close their eyes in fear. The monster aims its super strong energy wave at Jeon and the kids, breaking even the buildings in its way and causing big destruction in the city. When the wave goes away, the kids come out from where they were hiding in the rubble. They're surprised they're okay and look ahead, shocked. Right there in front of them stands Jeon, not hurt by the wave at all. They can't believe it. Thinking maybe he saved them, the kids watch as Jeon jumps up in the air towards the big boss monster. He comes down fast and strong. From his hand he sends a powerful energy wave right at the monster. It crashes down, and the kids are amazed. Jeon lands on the ground, and the boss monster is already dead. The two boys just stand there, stunned. Jeon looks back at them, feeling like it's finally over. He talks to them and tells them to go. Turning to face him, he says they should go and get him some food. This confuses the kids because they don't know what he means. But then, Jeon changes his face to a happy one and tells them to buy him food and clothes. They're not sure what to make of it. Later on, in a fast food place, Jeon puts an empty bowl on the table. The boys in front of him are amazed at how much he ate. They talk about how shocking the bill is. Jeon says he held back because he didn't have much money. This makes the kids frustrated because they promised him they'd get him whatever he wanted. Jeon turns to the waiter and asks for more food. This makes one of the kids ask who Jeon is and why he was near the tower. Jeon, busy picking his teeth, says he came from the tower, which shocks the kids. Changing the topic, Jeon looks at the boy and asks who he is. He says the boy named Jimin doesn't seem normal and he can feel magic from him. The other kid says Jimin is a disciple and wonders if Jeon is one too, blessed by a divine being. However, Jeon disagrees, stating that he does not need to serve them. Just then, he notices his reflection in the spoon and feels shocked to see that his face is no longer as damaged as it used to be. Consumed by shock, he asks if there is a mirror somewhere, and the waiter directs him to it. Reaching the mirror, he removes his shirt and examines his body, feeling surprised to find his entire body recovered. Remembering how his skin, hair, and even teeth used to be severely damaged, he examines all those, thinking that those were difficult to recover without risking his strength. He also feels surprised to notice that his left arm, which was cut during the battle against monsters, is back. While examining his left arm, he suddenly notices a mark of a snake on his palm and wonders what it is. Suddenly, that mark turns into a real snake, causing intense pain in his body and leaving him shocked. Just then, he is informed that because he experienced death, all his achievements will be passed on to a new body, and his zodiac skills will enable him to use the power of Ophiuchus. Just then, he slowly opens his eyes and then closes them once again, getting transported into an open space. When he opens his eyes again, he finds himself floating in space in front of a gigantic snake. Feeling shocked and confused, he extends his arm to touch the snake, and as soon as his hand makes contact, the snake's body begins to emanate a bright light. What will happen next? Find out next time by staying tuned for our future recaps. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more great recaps.